Hello everybody, this is GamePro24X, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys a spoiler-free review of Oneechanbara Origins. Now this video is going to be a lot shorter than my typical videos, but I just wanted to make this one just to let you guys know if whether the game is worth trying out or not, and I will make a second video detailing every little thing about this game like I did with the first two games. From the creators of Tamsoft and the publishers of D3, Oneechanbara Origins is supposed to be a retelling of the first Oneechanbara games, which originally came out in 2004. Not only that, but this game was made in celebration of the 15 years that the Oneechanbara series has been around. With Shinsuke Tezuka taking the reins again as creative director, this Oneechanbara game plays a lot differently than the rest. So much so that I would argue that this might be what Oneechanbara is going to be for the next few years or so. Now, for those who don't know what the original two games were about, I have videos fully covering the story and what happened in those games. Now, like I said in the beginning, I won't be covering the entire story as I want to make this a spoiler-free review, but I just want to go over every little thing about this game and what to expect if you're ever wanting to try it out. Now, I will add some little tidbits here and there of some things that they kept faithful to the original game compared to this new one, and just some things that they've changed in general, but it's going to be nothing too big. Now, right off the bat, the immediate thing that anyone would notice is the art style. So traditionally, Oneechanbara always had this more realistic look when it came to all of their games. Taking up a more cel-shaded / anime look for the game series is a little bit jarring for those who have been around in the series for as long as, well, they have. However, I do think it does look really good. A lot of the characters look really nice with the new art style. Although the only thing it trades off is the whole grittiness of the realism that the old games were. Another thing that you're going to be quick to notice with this game is that Aya actually has a bit more personality than she did in the first few games. Like in the original games, when you read her dialogue and her story bits, it always had like this super serious tone with her. But that was basically it. It was just kind of like stone-faced seriousness with no other personality around it. In this game, she has a little bit more of a naive, laid-back, innocent personality, but when things get serious, she's always there to step up to the plate. And to be honest, I think I kind of like this Aya over the old Aya. So this game has a lot of familiar mechanics, just like in the older games, like for instance the lock-on feature. However, with the lock-on feature, you can move around a lot faster, which is really good because in the older games, you were practically a snail every time you locked on. There is now a dedicated dodge button instead of just tapping the jump button while locked in. It definitely fits with a lot more modern hack and slash games where they have their own dedicated dodge button. Another new feature that we were given is a universal parry button. So if you parry successfully, you'll stun enemies around you, which will open them up to what is called a cool finisher, is what you're looking at right now. It's very deadly and very powerful, and every character has their own unique variation of it. Now, this one isn't new, but it is something that's borrowed from Z2 Chaos, which is the Ecstasy combo, where you charge up your meter and you get to do like a special attack. The Ecstasy God charges more when you dodge, and also if you just land hits on enemies. Every weapon has their own different variation of the Ecstasy combo. And last but not least, we have the typical cool combos. So if you tap the attack button as your hit lands, you will be able to continue it, and it'll be faster, stronger, and will lead up to a much bigger, more deadlier attack. In the settings, you could change things that you never had the option to in the older games, such as the lock-on feature. You can set it to either hold to lock on or you tap it to lock on. Also, this is the first game where you can actually have the combo meter up at all times. Where in the past such a feature was only available in practice mode, you can now have it throughout the whole entire game and get better and learn how to time your combos a lot easier. Because in this game, there are certain attacks that have a cool combo timer that is a lot different than what you would expect. So having that meter up all the time may seem like a crutch, but to be honest, it does help a lot, especially for newcomers in the series. Another thing that they changed up that I greatly appreciate is the melee. So in the older games, whenever you would do the kicking and such, It never really did anything aside from just hitting an enemy, which led to you not really utilizing it as much as the game devs wanted you to. In this game, meleeing enemies will fill up a stun meter that you see when you lock onto them, and when it's full, you could then do a cool finish attack on them. So that to me is one of the biggest game changers for this series, and I hope to continue with this because the melee button was absolutely useless in the older games. This right here greatly remedies that problem. Now, just like in Z2 Chaos, there is a dedicated run button by holding the dodge button, but not only will you run, but you'll automatically vault over stuff like ninja running in Metal Gear Rising. Oh, and one last thing I want to add, compared to Z2 Chaos, the dodging in this game is a lot more useful and a lot more fluid as well. So, of course, minor spoiler, but there is a total of 3 playable characters you can play as in this game, which is Aya, her sister Saki, and of course, Rei, which all of them you will have to level up individually up to level 99 to max out. So while Aya has a single and dual sword style emphasizing on speed, Saki has a long sword and a fist style, which the sword is really great for range and the fist is really good for just beating up single target opponents. Her cool finish will have her like suplex an enemy, and if it's a bigger enemy, she'll actually like disarm them and have her own like unique animation for it. So this is just a small demonstration of some of the things that she can do with her abilities. With the longsword out, using the ecstasy combination will have her throw out these projectiles that stuns enemies and kills as well. So really good for clearing out long range crowds. And her fists allow her to do like a lot of damage to enemies immediately in front of her. Now, Rei is probably one of the more wild and fun characters to play as. So Rei has a knife that she uses to accumulate blood. You then wipe off that blood to fill up your guns in order to do more damage. Now, if your gun meter is not filled up, you can still do stuff with the guns, but with the meter filled up, that's when it allows you to do additional combos with the guns. So Rei is very, very quick, agile, and when she uses the guns, she is an absolute powerhouse. She reminds me a lot of Lady from Devil May Cry Special Edition, where she has a variety of different weaponry and such. So yeah, by far, Rei is pretty fun to use. Very powerful too. She can kill bosses, kill rooms with ease. The only downside is that unlocking her requires you to do some stuff. And while you have the blade out, her Xtatic form practically creates a judgment slash and wipes out enemies near you and automatically fills up your gun meter to full. Even if you attacked no enemies, the gun meter will actually fill up a bit more, so that's pretty neat. There is now an in-game shop that you can access anytime you want, whether in the menu or in-game, where you can purchase items or rings, which would help stat boost your characters or give them other abilities that are very helpful. I'm going to show off the combo lists for all the characters and their weapons. It's not a very huge list. It's actually a lot more simplified than it was in the previous games. But to be honest, trading what the combat used to be with all the new improved stuff, I think it's a fair trade-off. Quests are also here, just like in all the other games, so you have additional things to do once you have already completed the game. Unfortunately, completing quests only unlocks artwork in this game. In the other games, it would actually be tied to unlocking certain costumes and even some artwork as well. But in this game, it looks like there is no way to unlock costumes, which I will elaborate a bit more at the end. Practice mode is here as well, where you can, make the zombie not do anything, make him invincible, and you can sit here and wail on him all day to get yourself familiarized with the combat, learn some combos between the characters, and you could also practice on bosses here as well. Of course, you will have to beat the boss or just complete the game first, and then you'll be able to fight any boss you want here in this arena with no penalty whatsoever. So you can sit here and completely learn everything you need to learn about this boss, which is something I plan to do in the future for other related content. Under the bonus missions, there is a survival mode, which is the key to unlocking Rei, which is the only way to unlock Rei in the game. The survival arena is practically the best way to level up your characters, so don't really worry about leveling throughout the main story. Level up here. It's the best place to do it. Another thing to know is that once you surpass a certain floor, you can then start off at that floor I believe it goes to 51, then 101, and I believe 151. You unlock Ray after 101. Throughout the game, you'll be going through a small variety of levels. Some of them may repeat, as it is a small budgeted game, just like in the originals. So you will feel the budget, Mr. Krabs, I promise you. And because this game is supposed to take place with the first two games, we are going to have a redesigned remodeling of all the levels that we used to traverse in the first two games, such as the graveyard, as you see here, that godforsaken hospital, like in the first game. However, they decided to remove the element of exploring the whole world and such, or the whole level, and they just made all the levels more linear, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. But I would say in this instance it's a good thing, because Lord knows how terrible that hospital level was in the first game. If you don't know what I'm talking about, refer to my original videos about them. So there's a lot less guesswork, and the game just practically tells you where to go. So that was one thing that the original games kind of struggled with, was telling you where to go. You didn't know where to go in this huge ass level, and you would have to just bumble around, go to random rooms to hopefully find the next area. We also get a new level that wasn't present in the original two games, which is this underground sewer level. So that's a thing, and this will be reused, just slightly recolored. So get ready for that, Mr. Krabs.
Your father sounded pretty troubled. I wonder if what he said about your sister is true. Do you really think you can...
We also have a city level as well that you will be able to traverse. Again, it is very linear. The area may be large, but it is very linear. But it is a very nice level that you don't really get to see too often in this game, surprisingly. And of course, just like in the second game, we also have a mall level.
Recognize it? I think it's one of her creations. Ava's. Do you even...
There is a grand total of 25 stages. A very small handful of them are only just boss stages, so you can go there and just fight the boss, and then that's it. That's the entire mission. 12 of those missions constitute the first game, and then the remainder of the levels constitute as the second game. As I mentioned before, this is supposed to be 2 games in 1. So if there's one huge retcon that the devs decided to do with the original story, is that they decided to include the ecstasy form, or as they call it in this game, Xtatic form, very early in the series. See, ecstasy form originally debuted on Z2 Chaos. That was because of the help of the Vampire Sisters awakening that form within Aya and Saki. But in this game, in this timeline, I guess you could call it, they decided to just have it there, that there was something that it was something that they've always had access to. So alongside with Berserk mode, there is also Ecstasy mode, which is like a second form of Berserk mode. So to gain access to all of this, you need to first enter into Berserk mode. So just like in the original game, you will need to collect blood orbs, which you can do by either just killing enemies. Also, just attacking enemies in general will fill up your blood gauge as well. By far the fastest way to generate more blood orbs is doing the cool finisher moves with Aya, especially with Aya, because her cool finisher happens to inflict a lot of damage to a large area around her. So once you reach Berserk mode, in the original games, Berserk mode will actually drain your health. Well, in this game, they actually decided to change that. So Berserk mode will still give you a lot of damage. You'll no longer lose health, but the caveat is that your defense is lowered. So if you do take damage, it will hurt a lot more than normal. Now, while in Berserk mode, the more enemies you kill, the more your character icon will slowly start to crack. And once you've killed enough enemies, you will then transform into Xtatic form. So while in Xtatic form, it is a huge upgrade from Berserk form. You do a lot more damage. You can no longer get stunned or staggered by any enemy hit. So you can sit here and tank damage all you want, and you will continue your combos as if nothing happened. You do drain health slowly, just like you did in the original Berserk form. However, every attack you do, you actually regenerate health. So in a sense, to ensure you don't die and to maintain that form, you just need to just go all out and just kill everything, which I feel this is like the best way to have a Berserk form, because back in the original game, Berserk form felt more of like a hindrance than a help. So long as you keep doing massive damage and killing lots of mobs around you, you will retain your form and you will just completely slaughter rooms of enemies with ease. Saki also has this form as well, so of course she has to first go into Berserk form. And once you've killed enough enemies in Berserk form, you then transform into her Xtatic form. So changing this element in the story and in the timeline definitely changes up the game by a landslide, because these forms are very powerful and very like dangerous to use, so to speak, in the series. So the fact that they decided to just change it to where this was something they've always had, that they've had access to, it could definitely lead to something more interesting down the line if they chose to continue building upon the Oneechanbara Origins timeline. Now, for a quick refresher, for those of you who haven't played Z2 Chaos, I actually have the images of Z2 Chaos's Ecstasy form and Origins Xtatic form. And if it's the one thing that kind of confused me in Z2 Chaos, is that form kind of like resembled like a bird for some reason. I'm not really sure what they were going for, but it just kind of didn't really make sense with the character, with the story, with anything. It kind of just looked like they just put random things together, aside from the demon horns. But in Origins, though, they definitely took a lot more things into consideration, and they just decided to go with a full-blown like demon look. And I actually like this form more than Z2 Chaos's form. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of hated Saki's form in Z2 Chaos. It just kind of looked really like contrived. Like they really tried to go for like some kind of Super Saiyan look, and it just looked really fucking tacky and just like, I don't know. The best way to describe it is like if a show or a character designer were to decide to just give the Super Saiyan ability to their character, that's what it would look like. And that's what I saw when I saw Saki's transformation in Z2 Chaos. It just wasn't really that good. In Origins, however, it's definitely a lot cleaner. It looks a lot better, especially the hair. I like the black hair on the outside and the teal hair on the inside. Really like panty and stocky looking style. I like it. I like it a lot. And despite what the artwork may show, the actual character model is actually more covered up than you think. I did want to show off some of the bosses, but I feel like that's a little bit into spoiler territory, so I'm going to refrain from doing that. However, I do want to talk about one of the absolute biggest retcons that they have done for this series, for the beginning of the series, and that's Reiko. So Reiko originally debuted in Oneechanbara 2 as one of the main characters. A lot of her story bits still are retained in Origins, but just a little bit more elaborated on. So again, if you have not seen the second Oneechanbara game, I have it on my channel, so you can go back and watch it. But as a quick refresher, Reiko was supposed to be a spy in an organization, and her task was to kill Saki and take her heart. It was made apparent a little bit later in the story that there was a Reiko clone, which you ended up killing, and that would be the only clone that you would ever see. But Reiko explains that there are other clones. After that, there really wasn't anything much to Reiko. There really wasn't much of a personality, and I'd argue it was like that for all of them in the very beginning. There really wasn't much personality, really much more story other than just that. In Origins, Reiko is a completely different person now. Now, even though the game calls her Lei, the characters refer to her as Rei, and I believe in the Japanese version as well, they call her Rei as well. I think that might be slightly a translation error, because if you're familiar with Japanese, you'll understand that the word R, or at least the pronunciation of R, doesn't really exist in their vocabulary. So whenever they would try to speak words that include the letter R, it would come out as like an L. So instead of saying hello, it would come out as hero, but that's because of how, like, their language conflicting with our language. So when you're trying to call a character Rei, it's going to come out as Lei. So Reiko, or Rei, as it is now in this game, is definitely a huge step up of the original Reiko in terms of personality. Now, I won't go into every little bit in detail. I will in my next video. But Reiko has like kind of a tough demeanor to her. But sometimes you see like instances of her being like nicer and more kinder. But overall, she has like this like bad bitch energy that I kind of like. And when you play the game and you find out more about her, you come to realize that, you know, she's made that way out of circumstance, not because of that's how they want to be. But still, I really like this character. Out of all three of them in this game, I think I like Rei the most. So in the next video, you better believe I will talk about her. There's a lot to say about her.
No. I know I've been relying on my sister too much.
Alright, so this is going to be the point where it's either going to make or break your decision on whether or not you want to buy this game. There is a lot to talk about here, and there's some things you need to know, and I would be doing a disservice to you as the viewer for, you know, not letting you know what this shit's all about. So there is a total of 96 DLC. All of them except for one are $1. The Rei instant unlock is like $4. That one will allow you to just play as Rei off the bat. Normally, to unlock Rei, you need to reach level 101 on the survival bonus mission, and then you can unlock her. It's not too difficult, but it is a little bit of a grind. 30 pieces of the DLC are just tracks, the BGM tracks, and they're the music from the original 2 games all the way up until now. So you get to have those games, and you can, or not games, you can have those music and play it in the game and enjoy the classic, you know, music that the original games had. So that alone is already $30 just for the BGM. 49 pieces of this DLC are individual costumes. Most of them are just different color variations of that costume, but they are costumes. So $49 and you get all the costumes in the game. This to me is a huge, huge problem. So to those of you who probably don't know, back in the older games, every single Oneechanbara all the way up until Z2 Chaos, you can unlock costumes in the game. They were mostly tied to quests and other things that you have to do to unlock them. Some of them were a bit tedious, but the option was there, and it was something for you to sit down and do. There is legitimately no other way to unlock these costumes aside from purchasing them, which of course is $1 per costume, or if you want all of them, that's $49 total. That is shit. In the next video, I'm going to dive a little bit more into all the costumes and show off all of it, but I am just telling you right now that this should not be a thing. This is not what Oneechanbara used to be at all. But that's not even the worst of it. See, the remaining 10 DLC are actually more important than just the costumes. So the remaining 10 DLC are bonus missions. So these bonus missions are additional things you can do in the game, but what makes these bonus missions more important is that they actually are tied to the story. This bonus mission, which is the very first one, for example, is actually it's supposed to take place before the game starts. This is Aya sparring with her dad before he ends up going on this journey on his own. When we finally play as Aya in the beginning of the game, it's already had been a year since she last saw him. This is just the first mission. All the other missions are heavily tied to the story and give you more. They just tell more of a story that should have originally been in the game, but it was cut out and resold to us at a premium price. So not only did they gut one of the core things that you can do in the Oneechanbara games, which was unlocking costumes and the variants of those costumes, but they cut legitimate content from the game and resold it to us. And this game is $60 normally. $60 for none of that. If you purchase the deluxe edition, you get all the DLC, everything. Now, I am going to be forthcoming and honest to all of you. When I purchased the game day one, I purchased the deluxe edition because it was $60 and I was already expecting to spend $60 anyways. The game was already on discount day one when it came out. I did not know whatsoever what the deluxe edition fully entailed until much later when I went to go check all the DLC. That's when I realized, oh shit, Technically, yeah, I bought the best version of the game, but at that price. So without any of the discounts, the base game with no bonus content, with no costumes, all that other stuff, it's $60. The deluxe edition, which is $75, which is $15 more, will include all of the DLC. If you were to try to purchase all the DLC individually, all of them, it would I shit you not, it will be over $100. If everything's already $1 as it is, one of them is like $4, you're going to be spending $100 for just the DLC. Clearly, you get more bang for your buck from just getting the deluxe edition. However, with all of that said, I don't believe the deluxe edition is even worth $74. I don't believe the base game is even worth $60. To learn all of this stuff, to see all the things that they removed that you originally had in the previous games, broke my heart because I love this game. I absolutely love this game, and I would definitely recommend it to as many people as possible. However, I cannot recommend this game at the current price, the current full price tag, and even at the current discount price tag, I don't think it's worth it. To me, with all the content, with everything that the game has to offer at base, that game is definitely worth $30 to $40. That's how I feel this game is truly worth. With the DLC, with the deluxe edition, that bumps it up to $40 to $50. It definitely is not worth $60. It sure as fuck isn't worth $75. I truly believe the deluxe edition is worth at least $50. So right now we do have a 20% off sale, but in all honesty, for those who want to give this game a try and want to pay at a much fairer price, I would highly advise you to wait until it's at least below $40 for the base game, just the base game alone. But then again, why would you want to play the base game when you now know full well that you're going to be paying for a lesser experience? So if you are going to just buy the game in general, I would highly advise just getting the deluxe edition, but at $50 or less. I cannot recommend it at this current price tag. This game was not at all worth $60. Maybe with the deluxe edition, maybe $60. I would concede maybe $60, but definitely $50. As a longtime fan of the series, and for those who are longtime fans that are watching this, I'm sure you're probably just as appalled as I am when it came to all these decisions to change what the original games originally had to offer. I can't stand by the current price tags. I just can't. I'm sorry. I love this game. I really do. It's extremely fun. It's probably the best Oneechanbara out of all of them in terms of mechanics. But I just cannot, with full confidence, tell you that this game is worth it right now. Even at this current discount, it's not worth it. So from that previous segment alone, you could already guess what I'm going to say. But believe it or not, that wasn't even scratching the surface of all the problems that this game has. Currently, the game stands with a mixed review. And it's not because of all the problems I listed. No. See, when the game originally launched back in October, the game was riddled with bugs and glitches so severe that it would either crash your game, harm your FPS, the performance, or, worst of all, flat out corrupt the save, leaving you with nothing. Oneechanbara Origins has received a few updates up in the past. The latest one was on the 15th of November. Hopefully, I would like to hope they addressed all the issues. Me personally, I only experienced crashing once every 4 to 5 hours of consistent gameplay. That I can consider myself lucky. But going down and reading all the reviews of everyone else's experiences and what they went through, it's horrible. This was a pretty bad port from the PS4 version in terms of performance. Now it's been a little bit over a month later, so I would like to hope the game is in a much better state. But until I see newer reviews talking about whether they have these issues or not, I don't know. All I can say is that there were issues. There have been a lot of bug fixes up until now, so maybe it is a lot better now. Aside from that, and aside from the DLC rant that I had, Oneechanbara Origins plays very, very well. Out of all the Oneechanbara games, this is by far the most fluid and fastest paced combat out of all of them. I love it. I love the brand new system. I love the new mechanics that they introduced. I love how you go into Berserk and in Xtatic form. I love the dodging. I love the parrying the most. It's definitely one of those games that I could say could be very close to almost rivaling Devil May Cry and even Ninja Gaiden. Obviously, this game ain't no Ninja Gaiden, and it definitely ain't no Devil May Cry, but damn, the gameplay alone is good enough to be considered up there. Another really good thing I never got to mention is the dubs. So Z2 Chaos actually had really good dubbing for their game, and this one is no different. The dub is just fantastic. They absolutely nailed the characters, their behavior, their mannerisms, everything. It is exactly how I would picture these characters would speak and communicate in our language, and I love it. It is one of the very few rare times I would definitely advise, hey, play the game in English. You might actually enjoy it. But not only that, but there's a lot of in-game banter that the characters will have with each other that you won't really have time to read in subtitle form because you're too busy in combat. So, at the very least, play the game for the first time in English. That way you get an understanding of everything that's happening in the story, and then try it again on Japanese for your repetitive playthroughs. But again, the English voiceover is just really high quality, really top notch. I love it. But at the current price, and even at the current discount price, this game really isn't worth that dollar amount. I want to reiterate that I believe the base game is worth at least $30 to $40, and I believe the deluxe edition is worth $40 to $50. I might be stretching it by saying it might be worth $60, but even then, it doesn't really feel like it's worth $60 at times. So I let that be the judging factor for you who are watching. As much as I love the series, and I've been doing a really big job in trying to make people more aware of the Oneechanbara series and how much I love the series and going through all the games, it comes with a heavy heart for me to say the things that I've said when it comes to whether or not you should play this one. It is a great game if you're like brand new to the series, but once again, it just isn't worth it at the current price tag. So get the game on discount at a much bigger discount, and you might enjoy it. This game is available on PS4 along with Steam. I will be making a much bigger, more in-depth, detailed video because there's a lot of things I didn't get to talk about with this one. I just wanted to make a short, even though I'm already past 30 minutes, a somewhat short video detailing some of the more important bits and whether or not it's worth your time and effort. So that about concludes my review of Oneechanbara Origins. Great game. I really love everything that they have updated in terms of the combat, but it has its issues. So hopefully when you decide to get the game and try it out for yourself, hopefully you'll enjoy it as well. And I would love to see the series continue from Origins and rebuild the story as well. Again, I will have more details about all that stuff in my next video. I want to also thank my Twitch subs and patrons, Identity Glitch and Watch TV 45. Thank you guys very much for the support on the channel. So, this is GamePro24X. I hope you found this video very informative, and I will see you guys in the next one.